Welcome to Wonderland Stories, where magical worlds come alive. Today, join us on an enchanting journey with Elise as she discovers a land of endless wonders and surprising adventures. Elise was a curious little girl with bright blue eyes and a head full of questions. One sunny afternoon, she sat under a big shady tree with her sister, trying to read a book. But as the warm breeze swayed the leaves above, Elise found herself daydreaming about far-off places where anything could happen. Suddenly, out of the corner of her eye, she saw something most unusual. A white rabbit wearing a waistcoat and carrying a pocket watch. "Oh dear! Oh dear! I shall be late," the rabbit muttered, hopping quickly past her. Without a second thought, Elise sprang to her feet and ran after him. The rabbit leapt into a large rabbit hole under the hedge, and Elise, curious as ever, followed him inside. But instead of a small tunnel, she found herself tumbling down through what seemed like an endless shaft. Around her floated shelves, books, jars of marmalade, and maps. She passed cupboards and even a painting of a smiling moon before she landed gently on a pile of dry leaves in a strange hallway. The hallway was lined with doors of all shapes and sizes, tall ones with twisting knobs, short ones shaped like hearts, and round ones like portholes. At the end was a small table with a tiny golden key on it. That must open one of these doors, Elise thought. But none of the doors fit, except for a very small one behind a curtain. Elise peeked through it and gasped. On the other side was the most beautiful garden she had ever seen, full of dazzling flowers, fountains that sprayed glittering water, and butterflies as large as her hand. But she was far too big to fit through. Then she noticed a little bottle on the table labeled "Drink Me." Without hesitation, Elise took a sip, and in moments she began to shrink until she was no taller than a teacup. She quickly unlocked the tiny door and stepped into the magical garden. The garden was alive with chatter. Flowers swayed and greeted her, their petals sparkling in the sunlight. One tall sunflower bowed politely, while a group of daisies giggled as she walked past. In the distance, she could hear the clinking of teacups and cheerful singing. Following the sound, Elise came upon a long table under a tree, where a very strange tea party was taking place. A large hat-wearing man, the Mad Hatter, was pouring tea into cups that seemed to refill themselves. Beside him sat the March Hare, nibbling a scone and muttering nonsense about time. A sleepy dormouse lay curled up between them, occasionally twitching its nose. "Welcome, welcome," the Mad Hatter exclaimed, tipping his oversized hat. "Care for some tea? Or perhaps riddles?" Elise joined them, and the tea party was unlike anything she had ever seen. Cups floated in the air, sugar cubes danced like tiny ballerinas, and every time Elise thought she had finished her tea, it mysteriously filled again. They told her riddles with no answers, sang songs that made no sense, and laughed for no reason at all. When the party ended abruptly, because it was apparently time for nothing, Elise wandered deeper into Wonderland. Soon she met a Cheshire cat lounging on a branch, grinning from ear to ear. "Where should I go?" Elise asked. "That depends," purred the cat, "on where you wish to end up." "I'm not sure," said Elise. "Then it doesn't matter which way you go," the cat replied mysteriously. With a swish of his tail, he vanished, leaving only his smile hanging in the air. Following a winding path, Elise passed a crystal-clear lake where tiny fish leapt out to greet her. She paused to watch a family of talking ducks playing a splashing game, then continued until she stumbled upon a strange scene. A man dressed entirely in playing cards, trying to paint white roses red. "Hurry," he whispered to her. "The queen only likes red roses. If she sees these white ones, it's off with our heads, for sure." Elise giggled and helped dab paint onto the petals until the entire bush blushed crimson. Soon, loud trumpets blared, and the Queen of Hearts entered the garden with her royal guards, who were also shaped like playing cards. The Queen had a booming voice and a very short temper. "Off with their heads," she roared at the smallest mistakes. But strangely, no one seemed to lose their head. Everyone simply kept playing as if nothing had happened. Elise was ordered to play croquet, and she did her best, but her flamingo mallet kept bending its neck and refusing to hit the hedgehog ball. The Queen glared at her suspiciously. After the game, Elise was summoned to a trial. The Knave of Hearts was accused of stealing the Queen's tarts. The court was chaotic. Animals shouted, the king mumbled into his beard, and the jury scribbled nonsense on paper. Witnesses said the most ridiculous things, and finally, the Queen pointed at Elise. "Off with her head," the Queen bellowed. Before anything could happen, Elise suddenly felt herself growing taller and taller until she was towering over everyone in the court. "You are nothing but a pack of cards," she cried. At once, the cards flew into the air, swirling around her like a blizzard. She tried to push them away, and then she woke up. She was lying under the same shady tree where she had begun, her sister beside her. The warm afternoon sun peeked through the branches, and the sound of distant church bells drifted through the air. Had it all been a dream? Or had she truly visited a land of talking animals, smiling cats, and endless tea? Elise smiled to herself. In her pocket, she found a tiny crumb from the tea party and a petal from the red roses. She knew she would never forget Wonderland, the garden, the tea party, the grinning cat, the Queen of Hearts, and most importantly, the feeling that the world was full of endless possibilities, if only you dared to follow your curiosity. Just as Elise thought her trial was about to end, the Cheshire Cat's grin reappeared in midair above the Queen's throne. "Care for one last bit of mischief?" it whispered. Before Elise could answer, the grin floated over to the royal tart table and nudged a pie so it splattered right into the king's crown. The court erupted into chaos. Guards chased their own tails. The dormouse began singing lullabies loudly, and the Queen stomped so hard the floorboards bounced. Seizing the moment, Elise laughed and ran toward the garden gates. The flowers cheered her on, the flamingos waved their wings, and the card soldiers tripped over each other trying to catch her. It was then she began to grow taller, 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 until the tops of the trees were at her knees. "You are nothing but a pack of cards," she declared again, and this time the wind itself seemed to carry her voice. The cards flew up into the sky, swirling like autumn leaves in a storm. And Elise awoke under the shady tree, her heart racing. She touched the petal and crumb in her pocket and smiled. Wonderland had been strange and wild, but she secretly hoped she might find her way back there one day. Thank you for joining us on Wonderland Stories. Remember, just like Elise, you never know what wonders you'll find when you follow your curiosity. See you in the next magical adventure.